What up, y'all? So, I'm here again to talk about the young rising star, Ja Morant. Here we are again. I didn't think I'd be, I don't know, I didn't hope I'd be talking about him again so soon, not for nothing bad, but, he in trouble. Yeah, he's in trouble. He might not be in trouble with the law, he might be in trouble with the law. Um, but he got some issues right now. Ja Morant was on his IG Live after the game with, what was it, Denver? And he was lit, doing his lit life culture thing, and he flashed a gun on Instagram Live. And the internet and the NBA and a whole bunch of other people have been going crazy since then. And rightfully so, because it's like, what are you doing, son? Um, I don't know, this might be his third, fourth, maybe even fifth incident that involves some sort of street environment. There's one that I never even really spoke about. It was like, was talking about a situation where he was playing like a pickup game. I don't know if it was in his backyard or something like that, with just some, with regular non-NBA people, and he ended up beating up a kid who was 17 years old now. He in his early 20s and all of that. And at first, when that first came out, people was saying, and they said he threatened the boy with a weapon or something like that, right, with a gun, and they were saying that maybe this little dude, the 17-year-old kid, was somebody who, just trying to get a bag. You know how when you worth a lot of money, people will try to trigger you to put hands and feet on them, and then they sue you, right? So that's a very plausible possibility right there. So, I didn't judge him. I never even spoke about that right there. You know what I mean? But then I don't know if it might even been before that. It was an incident with him at a mall where somebody treated his moms incorrectly, and he went down there to speak to the man, and it was like the head of security or something. He went down there to speak to him, but he went down there and speak to him like a thug, basically. He ain't go, you know, on no respectful. He wasn't out there on his Millie D.O.D. respectfully vibe. You know what I'm saying? He went out there and I think with his homies, and they threatened him up and all that. So yeah, it's just more and more this type of. Then there's the thing with the Indiana Pacers that I mentioned in my last video about getting caught up in the hype. We're gonna call this video "Caught Up in the Hype" Part 2. Um, and here we are now. Like, and the Caught Up in the Hype video I made is 2 weeks ago, and I just feel bad because like me being from a hood, I seen tons of dudes with wild potential, wild talent, and just they temper, or what I'm saying, they just can't get out of their own ways. You know what I'm saying? They hot headedness, they hard headedness, pause, they short temperedness. It just don't, it just be, and some of these, and some of these kids do be good kids. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to self control in high tension situations or whatever, or high energy, high emotion situations, it just, you know what I'm saying? Now you got a lot of dudes around the industry, around the NBA, the analysts and all that. They talk about how he ain't gangster. You ain't gay, like Shannon Sharp. Shout out to Shannon Sharp. He like, yo, you not gangster. Don't nobody look at y'all and say he's a gangster. I know. Well, listen, I know a lot of dudes who don't look like gangsters who will give you the business like it was an inheritance. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not so quick to say that. I will say that it's questionable because you know, from our era, and real gangsters that we familiar with, it's like, if you really live in that life, then you got a lot to hide. So you don't get on camera and show that. You understand what I'm saying? So people will call your question, call your gangstifications into question just on the strength of that. You know what I mean? But you got smart gangsters and you got dumb gangsters. I mean, like, I don't know if there's a such thing as a dumb gangster. Maybe it is. I feel like the difference between gangster and thug is intelligence. You know what I mean? It's like age and intelligence or whatever, wisdom. You know what I mean? More focused on the bread. You know what I mean? When you make it to what I consider gangster. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, Ja has, him being, he on the sidelines when his homeboys make 3-pointers. Niggas is on Instagram editing it up, putting actual gunshot. It's crazy, B. You know what I'm saying? It's like, for all three of those incidents that had happened with the kid he beat up allegedly or whatever, the kid, the dude in the mall where he threatened him up or whatever, then the Indiana Pacer things where the Pacer staff said they were shining lasers on him, and then allegedly, and all three of those things in violence, all of those three things involve thug shit and possibly gun shit, and you go in and get on it on Instagram with the little slam dancer, the Nate Robinson. You know what I'm saying? But it's like again, like, I don't know his hood. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know where he's from. He could be, listen, you could be the toughest nigga in the soft city. It don't matter. Like, when I was young, when I was a kid, I originally did all of my dirt outside of my hood. Other than like little boy shit when I was like, stealing out of stores when I was a little kid. But like all of the dirt where I was running around, quote unquote, putting in work, like I did that outside my hood. So I remember one time when I got locked up, I was 19 years old, I'm locked up. And I ran into a dude from my projects, but he was from the other side of my projects. And my projects ain't that big. It's only 4 buildings, right? The projects I grew up in. He was from the other side of the projects, and just from my vantage point, he was thugging from jump. I was a good kid at first. I can admit that. By the time I turned 11, I started, hanging with the Sackman Street boys, and I started doing dumb shit, right? But when I saw this dude at 19, this dude named Barry from Cephalo Projects. If you an old Cephalo nigga, you remember, you know Barry. Rest in peace, Fitzroy, right? Barry saw me in the Navy Yard. They used to call it. It's Brooklyn Correctional Facility. Barry saw me in there and was like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Son, what do you don't belong here." Now, he was right, but he didn't know I was a filthy animal at the time. You understand what I'm saying? Because people around my way didn't see that side of me. You understand what I'm saying? Which again is something like I was saying before. Like, you listen. I said I spoke in publicly enough times that I used to be part of a gang, right? I revealed in the NIMS video that we wore purple, right? Back when we was rapping, I mean, I'm still rapping, right? But when we was back then really part of that, we didn't wear purple. We didn't wear Decepticon symbols. We didn't do anything. We didn't do any of those things. I think what makes me think of that is a conversation I had with my brother Strang Wonder on the topic. And he was like, "Yo, we was young. We did stupid shit too. You can't be mad, blah, 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 blah." And all of that makes sense. But we still had a certain amount of awareness we knew that we couldn't just we knew where we could announce that and where we couldn't. We knew where it could be shown and where it couldn't. Like, we literally, none of us We didn't wear colors or symbols or any of that. You know what I'm saying? To the point where a dude that grew up across the street from me had no clue that I was doing dirt. By the time he saw me at 19, I had been locked. I had been locked up 7 times already. Over, probably more. And mostly for robberies. Probably all. Well, it was a gunshot too. But anyway, that's beside the point. And yes, I was special. And I did, during that very same time while I was locked up, I saw my opportunity presenting itself to me. I saw my life change while I was in jail because that was when I realized that Buckshot was Steele's friend. Like, Who Got the Props was already out on TV. I saw the video on TV and I noticed 5 foot accelerator in the video, and I knew him because I knew that Steele used to go hang out with these other dudes, his other rapper friends, and 5 was part of those because he would come around the way. He would come back to the block with Steele sometimes after the shows. But I didn't know Buckshot. While I was locked up, I saw this. I watched Who Got the Props again, and I recognized 5 feet, and I said to myself, "Oh shit, I'm on, right?" And guess what I did? I chilled all the way the fuck out. That's what I did. You understand what I'm saying? You gotta understand when you got an opportunity, and understand how not to ruin it. You understand what I'm saying? Because I came home. By the time I came home, I ran in this General Steele. He played me Buckshot album. But the first 2 songs he played me was 2 songs that I wished I was on. Blacksmith and Wesson and You the Man. And I felt like I couldn't have been on Blacksmith and Wesson, but You the Man I could have been on. But I wasn't because I was gone. And that was a valuable lesson for me. You understand what I'm saying? I was locked up for 6 months that time. I ain't never been locked up that long again in my life. And that's a short time. You understand what I'm saying? It's about protecting your gifts. You understand what I'm saying, folks? Like being available for your blessings, not dumping on them. You understand what I'm saying? So, with all of that being said, like, Ja, I'm not telling you who you are or who you not or who to be. All I would say to him and anybody in a situation similar, whether it was, even if it's similar but on a much smaller scale, like, don't blow it, B. You when you new in any game, you new to this, you new to money. It's people around there. You ain't gotta try to get haters. I don't subscribe to that. If you ain't got no haters, you need to be figuring out how you get some. You ain't gotta try to get none of those. They're there. You understand what I'm saying? And they want you gone. So you gotta at least bust ass for a while before you start breaking all the rules or changing all the rules. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're gonna want you out. They're gonna want you out. Like, you see what they did to Carmelo Anthony. That's my favorite basketball player. He gave the Knicks hope when we had none. They got him out of here. I don't care what any of those analytics or any of those analysts say. You ask any NBA player about Melo as a player, and they will tell you that he is still super solid. But they wanted him out. And he had been playing for a while, but he hadn't won. You can't be going against Phil if you ain't the guy. Phil part of the conglomerate. Anyway, that's how I saw it. Right? Ain't no proof. I'm just saying that's just me. Ain't no proof allegedly. All I know is the day he didn't agree with Phil, his life changed. But anyway, he also spoke of how the NBA commissioner, what was the old one name? I can't remember the old one name right now. But he told him, like, we got people watching you. We got people, we know who you are, we know where you sleep, what you eat when you wake up, your friends, we know the same thing about them. If you either stop rocking with them If you either get them to change what they're doing or stop rocking with them. Or the consequence was they stopped rocking with him. You understand what I'm saying? A nigga, my homeboy's in jail. Something that happened in the hood tonight. One of my mans that's locked up will call me and ask me about that event before I knew about it. They telling me you ain't hear what happened in the hood. What? If a nigga locked up, a regular nigga from the hood locked up could find out what's going on in any said hood, what makes you think a $1 billion corporation can't do that? They can afford tons of eyes on you. Son, you gotta straighten up. I understand you gave the apology, you know what I'm saying? You said all of the right things. You gotta do all the right things too. You can't just say them because they still watching. You know what I'm saying? And the suspension, that's a good thing in my opinion. You understand what I'm saying? Because you got to see some consequences. From my vantage point, you ain't seen no consequences from none of your wild shit up until this point. You know what I'm saying? You get caught up in the hype. That's why you start to believe that nothing can. You can do all of the things that normal people can't do. You understand? You are a superstar, but on a certain level, you still normal people. You black people. Understand what I'm saying, little bro? So good luck, man. Real talk. I heard Gilbert Arenas say it's gonna take you about 3 years to get to the status you was 3 weeks ago. To get back there. He might be right. He might be wrong. You might never get back there, bro. Like real talk. The things you doing, them people do not look kindly upon. So I'm just saying, good luck. You see consequences can happen. You understand what I'm saying? Now see what you gotta do to avoid more further serious consequences and do those things. The rest of all of y'all too. Recognize your gifts, B. Real talk. Recognize your blessings and your opportunities. Because I'm not going to say they only come around once. You know, I'm proof that that ain't true, but some people never get the opportunities that you got. And that's true for everybody. So, you know what I mean? Like, subscribe, um, leave a comment, share, hit the bell for notifications. Welcome to the nation. If you made it to the end of this video, I'm gonna leave 4 basketballs. Pause. And go get Ether Rocks. It's out right now. And it's fire.